the number of webinars you do every week is astounding.
I will answer this in a way that might seem vague and effusive. How's that for a 10-cent word? I get as much from these more often than not than I give. And so the more of these I do, the more clarity it helps me create, and the more connections I'm able to make. And I also think it helps me hone my craft as a teacher and coach. And what I'm going to share this morning is an example of that in practice, because I am going to be very vulnerable and transparent. And in doing so, I think help a lot of our regulars, our Founders Club members, etc., get a lot more of the real desired end result, which is contracts, either listing or otherwise. So I do have to keep this to, at this point, about 35 minutes because I have a listing appointment. But actually, I'm going to do this first because this was a bonus session. It's also earlier than normal. So I'm going to share some housekeeping items before I share my big sort of aha and I'll say almost, I don't want to say egg on my face, but I'll just share that. Sean and I were talking yesterday because DNC has been a topic. We had a little bug with the tool related to when you enhance data, which is fixed. Like that is fixed. But he and I then were chatting yesterday, and he brought up the fact that there is very definitive case law currently that is in our favor, even if we intentionally or unintentionally contact people on the DNC. Because what we are contacting them about is not them paying us for a service, but us bringing them a potential solution. This is not legal advice. ChatGPT is not an attorney, etc. So take this for whatever it's worth. But we are not robo-calling or robo-texting with an offer for them to pay, making an offer that they would pay us for a service. We're not calling about Medicare, extended auto warranty, any of that stuff. When we're reaching out to sellers, we're reaching out to see if they would be open to a client of ours bringing them money, not asking them to bring us money. When we're calling the investor buyers, we're bringing them an opportunity. In that case, we may be asking us for money, but we're bringing them something they're already showing publicly on public record that they're interested in and doing. So for whatever that's worth, I'm still not going to suggest that you blatantly reach out to contacts that are on the DNC. But I do think there is definitive case law that how we're doing it, one-to-one communication from a phone, offering, again, to sellers to bring them a bag of money is different than asking them to pay us for an extended auto warranty or whatever. We all get those. Sean had found that. I figured it was worth sharing, so why not? Secondly, what I'm going to do is I intended to get this out this week, but busy. Yesterday I did that laser outreach to the comments on that Facebook post. I got 75% of them responded to my DM. So I literally, the whole afternoon, I was in conversation with either direct principals or agents that have clients working this portfolio of properties that I will be listing. They'll probably be coming soon next week and live the following week, but we'll see. That's if we even get to that point, because I think it's very possible that we won't even get on market, because they don't care whether or not I list it. They just want the solution. They just have a number in mind, and that's all they want. In a perfect world, I was going to get this out yesterday, but I'm going to schedule this to go out now for Tuesday morning. This is going to go out to all of the homeowners in my database that I have their primary address and a subscribed email address. And it is using the marketing suite with Fast Cash Offers. And when they tap this email, they will be taken to an interactive dashboard where they can explore offers. And also I get notified that they're looking at offers on their dashboard. So I will drop this in the chat. If you're watching this after the fact, or you're in the live stream, if you want to drop a comment, I'm happy to share this with you. It does, this specific direct example or use case would require you to have the marketing suite with Fast Cash Offers. However, you could make this a two-step process. Okay, hear me out here, and use the completely free instant offer version. What would that look like? Get multiple offers for street address, ? Would you be interested in exploring multiple offers for your property at street address? Just hit reply and let me know. And then you go and submit their property on the platform. You get the multiple offers. You save the snapshot and you share that. And maybe you send a Loom video explanation, or maybe you just send them the dashboard with the call to action. Would you be available for a quick chat later today so I can go over these with you, because they probably won't make much sense to you? Because that's what most people say. I don't understand these numbers. Can you explain them to me? So I'm going to schedule this out real quick. Actually, would you like to see what that, I'm going to end up with egg on my face here. It's probably not going to work, but I'm going to try and show. I think I sent a test email to myself earlier in the week because I've been meaning to share this. Maybe I didn't send it. I swear I did. Hold on. Instantly. There it is. Okay, here we go. Doggone it. Well, I don't know if it's because it's my account is the account holder, but
maybe by opening in like an incognito window or something.
Yeah, because I do know it works for the majority of recipients where they don't have to enter their information. It's populated there. Okay. And also, it doesn't really matter. What matters most is the engagement, and that you follow up with the people that, if you're using the full suite and you send this email, you follow up with all of them. And if you use the two-step version, you follow up with everyone who says, yeah, I think I'd like to check that out. Okay. So all I'm going to do to send that is in the marketing suite here, I'm going to schedule a mass email, and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to say primary has email subscribed, has primary address all. That's the one I wanted. And I want this to go out Tuesday, and I want it to go out at 10:30 a.m. And it is this script. You know what? Let me double check. This will actually be helpful for me and all. I'm going to double check that I have the right merged URL, because it could be user error. More often than not, it is. So if you're using the full marketing suite and you have your CRM integration set up, a couple of things. Number one, when people click on this link for me, they will be tagged cash offer request, which means I can then go back into Bold Trail and pull up all of the people that were tagged that, and I can one-to-one follow up with them. I can call them, text them, email them. I can send them direct mail, whatever. That's number one. Number two, email marketing. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to make sure that I've got the right link here. I'm going to copy that link, and I'm just going to, before I hit send here or schedule this out, I'm going to click on this. And it does look like I have the right link. Yep, it's the right link. Okay. I'm going to have it open in a new window, and notice there are no images. There's one link. It's twice, but it's the same link. There's not a bunch of other, this is Josh's Facebook page, this, that, and the other thing. It's just that. There's one definitive thing that I'm asking them to do. There's one domain, one or two, two links, but it's the same info, etc. And then you're probably not ready to sell right now, but when the time is right, will you be staying here in Central PA or relocating elsewhere? Here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule that out. Okay, this is perfect timing. So here we go. I have shared this quote before, but I'm sharing it again because it relates to what I'm going to share next as a pivot to something that I have been a mistake that I have made in leading and coaching and training folks, okay? Which is, we question all our beliefs except for the ones that we really believe in and those we never think to question. Yesterday on this session, Stephanie revealed that she had gotten 6 positive responses from absentee owners. Positive responses meaning, to some degree, being open and interested in getting an offer. Stephanie and I had a follow-up call later in the day, and she gave me the 6 different scenarios because, and they generally speaking fall into one of several buckets, which I do have outlined. Doggone it. Bear with me here. Which I do have detailed here in this script book, which I'll drop this in the chat for those of you that are in the Zoom room. And again, if you're watching after the fact or you're on live streaming, just comment and I will make sure to get it to you. If you don't get a reply from me, DM me or just text me. My number's on the screen and I'm not hard to find. So most of them fell into one of these 5 most common buckets. She got a couple of what's the offers. She had a phone conversation with one of them, etc. And so I'm thinking through and talking through with her next best steps. Like, what do we do? What do I do? You know, how do I proceed? And for months, years even, I have been recommending and trying to strongly encourage you all to send a personal video message as the next best step. And I think I was falling for this trap right here. We question all our beliefs except for the ones that we really believe in, and those we never think to question. And so I'm still very much a proponent of sending personal Loom videos as much as possible. And also, and this is a very small crowd today because it was an extra session and earlier than normal, but I'm going to stop my share here and I'm going to unpin myself. And we only have a few people that have their video live, but I'm going to remove the pin. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you have some level of resistance to sending a Loom video. Terrell didn't even let me finish. Is that something that is causing you to stop? And this didn't go, I was hoping I'd have a whole big room because I know, thank you, Richard. And I know Stephanie would raise their hand. And James is raising their hand. Janita's raising her hand. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so here's what I would like to, Stuart's good. Stuart's been sending videos for a while. And also, even if you didn't raise your hand, I really think my belief around this has probably hurt my results, and I know have hurt the results of you listening and following me. And here's really where this came from. I got off from Stephanie, and what I promised her was a word-by-word script that she could use to record Loom videos for these people. And then I'm thinking, why? Why? Because one of these 6 was a phone conversation. The others were text and email. And what is the next logical step for the others? A phone conversation or a Zoom meeting. So why not just send them this message instead of getting stuck at the bottleneck of recording a Loom video because I haven't gotten ready yet today. I didn't shave today. My hair's out of whack. I don't want to, I kind of sound a little nasally today. So, and I got these big bags under my eyes, which I constantly do now. I don't know if it's my whatever. There's zero friction to send this. As long as there are preliminary offers in Fast Cash Offers, you can send this message. So the reply looks like the preliminary offers came back between X and Y, parentheses. Those numbers are based on the publicly available tax record data. In other words, I'm at least putting off that, like, hey, don't kill the messenger here. This is just, what we're able to put together for you based upon the publicly available data. That said, I took a closer look at the property, and I think we can very likely get you a significantly better offer than those. Now, only say that if you believe that's true. Okay? Obviously. That sentence there, just have it match whatever you know to be true. Stuart also, almost during the same time that I was talking with Stephanie, sent me a scenario that also made me think of this, because he had a property where it was like 7 acres. So the institutional offers came back, but they might not have been accurate, right? Because they're most accurate when the AVM values are accurate. And let's face it, they're not always. Would you be available for a quick chat at some point today? And you could say at some point this afternoon or tomorrow morning, right? Like, match that to whatever the timing is. Should only take 5 or 10 minutes, just so I can verify some information and details to get you the very best offer possible. The very best offer possible. You can send that by text if the conversation has been happening by text. You can send it by email if the conversation has been happening by email. And if it was a short phone conversation and they're waiting for you to get back, you call them back with that information. And instead of, obviously, you don't call them and say, would you be available for a quick chat at some point today? Because you're chatting with them. But the voicemail would be, just so you know, I was able to put together some preliminary numbers for you. And I took a closer look at the property as well. I think we can probably get you a better offer than the preliminary numbers came back at. Let me know when you'd be available for a quick 5 to 10 minute chat. I just need to verify some information. So that would be what you would voicemail if the phone, in other words, keep it on the channel it was on, but try to pivot them to a conversation, because these things are way easier to explain and pivot around if you're actually in a conversation, because you can judge their tone. You can, you can read their you can read their tone. You can, sometimes they're very direct with their words, right? And then you can appropriately maneuver around that. Now, what happens if they say, you send the text and they say, can you just send me the offer? At that point, I would either send a Loom video because they're even more engaged, or you could take the offers, the breakdown of offers. Where do I have here? I can take this breakdown, feed it into AI, and ask it, can you put together a one-page summary of this offer? Or James, you're even doing something with the PDF or something of that, or are you just taking a screenshot and sending it to him?
Not ringing a bell.
Okay, I thought you were, but anyway, point is, my own beliefs around, you got to send them a Loom or a bomb or a dub. It's not so much about Loom, but a personal video. I think, in retrospect, in thinking through this and thinking through trying to help Stephanie and Stuart and a number of you who are getting these responses and then just kind of, seemingly slightly paralyzed as to what to do next, my own beliefs. And if I'm being honest and I'm thinking deeper about this, like I'm not a big, subconscious, psychological, whatever, probably part of me likes the fact that I'm pretty good at those because I've been doing them for years. And so for me, it's easy to do. But if you've never done them, it's like doing anything, right? It's very uncomfortable and difficult. I remember, this is random, but somewhat related. Our daughter, Sammy, taught herself how to ride a bike when she was 2.5 years old. She comes in from the garage and she's telling Pam and I taught myself how to ride a bike. Pam and I look at each other like, that's crazy. There's no way. We go out and she's freaking riding the bike in the driveway. Our other son, Cole, we're feeling shame and all this weird stuff around the fact that he's 8 or 9 years old and he can't ride a bike because he just refused to ever try. And we just try. And eventually COVID, honestly, COVID, there wasn't much to do. He finally figured out how to ride a bike. Okay. Point is, some of you feel like Cole right now with a Loom video. I don't want to do that. That just seems scary and uncomfortable. And I don't want it. So why? Why? Use this, which I'm going to add into the scripting book. I'm going to add into this script book as a way to pivot to the next step, which is having a phone conversation. And for the ones that are can't you just send me the offer? Yes, you can send that to them. I would send them one of the preliminary offers. You could even send them the dashboard with 2 of them. And I would say, look, these probably make no sense to you, which is why I wanted to have a quick conversation so we could explain, or so I can explain how they work and offer, and also go over other possible offer options or solutions with you and for you.
Now, you didn't tell me that last night, Josh.
I didn't. Because
I actually used a variation of that script in the video.
Okay. Well, I think if you use this script in a video, that's good too. But I want to help everybody win. And I know that no matter how hard I try, a certain percentage of you, and maybe for good reason, just aren't going to do Loom videos or BombBomb or Dub or whatever. And also, the other thing that came into play for this with me is, as I was working through this, I was remembering instances where I did this because I wasn't at a place where I could Loom video, or because I was, as I was described, I needed a haircut. My hair's like all out of whack. And I'm like, I don't want to wait till I shower and get all, cleaned up. I'm just going to send a message and continue the conversation to get the next step in it. And also, here's another thing that I was thinking about this, or had me thinking about this. Our next listing sprint is going to be senior owners. And I would say that the small percentage of people that either defiantly won't watch my videos or get roadblocked or tell me it doesn't work or doesn't play, most of those are what are going to be this category of this next listing sprint. So how can we, and most of those folks are conditioned to, I'd rather just talk on the phone anyway. Not everybody, but even me, I consider myself, I'm not quite a senior owner yet, although I get the Medicare spam calls. I'm like, come on. But I had a wall phone, a rotary phone growing up. I spent hours and hours on the phone, trying to woo some girls in middle school or whatever. So I still have that memory. Anyway, Carol, go ahead.
So I think you gave an example before where you had someone that says, I'm not going to watch a video. I don't know who you are.
That was Steve. Steve, he turned into two. I listed and sold 2 of his properties, bought another one, etc. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
And again, it's the senior thing, my people, as I like to say, that are a little bit resistant because, it's like, there's so much other information out there about, how this is a hack and, so on and so forth. So I think being able to pivot, as you said, if they responded with email, they responded with text, then stay there and then move to the conversation. And I know for me personally, quite frankly, I know this because it's my life, is that when people see my name and don't see me, they see a black man, which is not a problem, but that's not who I am,
Fair.
So, and then I have my own kind of history with videos and so on that caused me to go, and so it's, for me, I'm thinking it will be a great exercise because again, if they don't like my video or they don't look at my video or they prefer a black man, then, that's a path I'll cross. But with the senior owners particularly, I think that's going to be a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
From them. Mm-hmm.
And I just think this is probably a better process for all because money follows speed and time kills all deals. And so if it's going to take you more time to record that Loom video or whatever video and then edit it and then send it, whatever, versus I can pull the institutional offers, I can fill in X and Y, I can change this however appropriate, I can change the when this is however appropriate, and in a minute, I can get that response out to work on getting the next call. And then if I don't get response, it's simply a matter of going back and saying, making sure you got my last. Do you have time for a quick chat today? So I'm sorry to everyone who I have inadvertently maybe kept from having the amount of speed and momentum to really make things happen. So I've got a few more minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect start to finish what this would look like with an absentee owner, for example, and then also expectations, meaning how many contacts to conversations to someone who says, let's chat further. Let's figure this out. Turns into a contract of some kind. And I'm going to be real conservative. I'll give you like the super conservative number, and then I'll say, you know, the number if you maybe are more skilled, have more practice, more reps, etc. So what does this look like sort of end to end? And I'm going to use the script book here. So I send this text message, which by the way, so me finally owning, questioning everything, even the things that I believe the most. I am testing a new script next week that I think is going to beat this one hands down and will become the default script in Lead Deck when you sign up day one. I'm not going to reveal it yet because I'm going to test it, but I'd be shocked if it doesn't beat the pants off of this one.
Josh, can you add that new script, the reply one you just showed at the bottom of this?
Yes. So I'm actually not going to put it at the bottom. I'm going to strategically put it. I'll show you where I'm going to do that as I go through here, and then I've got 6 minutes left. So you start with this script, whatever, text, phone, voicemail, email. They respond in some form or fashion. For Stephanie, she had a bucket of 44. She has gotten at least 6 somewhat positive responses. In other words, they didn't say no. She has then, we've got the, what's the offer? Yes, well, whatever. We're going to now insert this. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. We're going to insert this. We're going to insert that. Let's see here. We're going to put it.
You're going to make me print something out again.
That's why living, breathing documents, right? That's why I use these. What to do next, or how do we want to call this headline? Delivering the preliminary offer. How about that? I think I like that. And I'll doctor this up some.
5 and 6.
What's that?
I can just do page 5 and 6.
There you go. So I'm going to doctor this up a little bit more, meaning I will put, a text version, an email version, and a voicemail version. But for now, that is what you can use. And then it's about, so think of these as like, if I envisioned a timeline, okay, with marks on the timeline, okay, and this is, they have no idea who I am, and this is, they're a client and we've closed the transaction. The first notch on there is the initial contact and outreach. The next notch is they've responded in some way. The next notch is I've delivered preliminary offers to them, okay, with an attempt to get a appointment, a phone call, a Zoom conversation, etc. The next notch is that actual conversation. And then what? And then what? Because the decision tree will happen. These actually seem really good and I think would make sense. Okay, well, let's get you a finalized written offer from QuickBuy, Zoomcasa, Zoomdelio, Homeward, whoever. In order to do that, I need to pop by, I need to get in-person photos, et cetera, et cetera. Or what often happens for me is, and this is how I present this, and this will be added to this script book as well, is, Terrell, these might be a good option, but just based upon what you shared, I think what we should do, and what I would advise, if I were working with a family member, this is what I would advise them. Let's put these offers and put them in our back pocket and give me 10 to 14 days to put together our 7-day stress-free home sale program. And let's see if we can beat that on the open market. The reason why you can't have a one size fits all is the property vacant? Does it need work? Is it tenant occupied? Are they living in it and they need to trade up, right? So we need to match the recommended solution to whatever the scenario is, but it is very difficult to get all of those details without a phone conversation. Now, some will give you all of that detail in text or email, but more often than not, it's going to require an actual in-person or phone conversation to really get that level of detail. Okay. So that will be added here, but that's the next notch in the timeline, right? And we're getting closer to earning our compensation, earning our fee. But we can't, we're not going to go from here to here without multiple steps along the way. Anything with the 90 or 60 seconds that I have left, anything.
Do you ever send out text messages on Fridays? I didn't get around to doing them yesterday, so I'm wondering if I should do them today or just double up on Monday.
Who are you reaching out to?
Absentee.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
I don't think it is worthwhile to reach out to investor buyers Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
Okay.
I say that, and I did it one Friday morning on one of these live streams, and I had a guy go look at a property and make an offer that day. So, I mean, better to do it than not do it. Worst case scenario, you go back to them on Monday, however many you hit that didn't reply, and you do the question mark trick on a text, or you reply to the email, Dana question mark or whatever. So go right ahead. Let her rip.
Okay. I've got an open house today, so I'm gonna.
Today on a Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This to me is such an important sort of pivot on what I have been adamant about, that we're going to do a bonus session for Listing Sprint participants and Founders Club members early next week, because I kind of don't like the way I bookended Wednesday's session, because I felt like I left people hanging for like, okay, what next? I got the responses. Now what do we do? Well, just, here are a bunch of Loom examples. Try and be Josh. Like, that's not helpful. I mean, you're all unique and different and have your own whatever. So I'm going to, before I drop off here, I want to share this again because we now have more folks in the chat, and I would hang out, but I have an appointment that I have to get to. The replay of this will be available at leaddeck.ai/closers. And I will continue to, I'm sorry, Stuart, I'm going to continue to add more detail and more how to connect more of the steps along the timeline of these people have no idea who I am, to close contract, compensation, direct deposited into my bank account. What to do, and next and next and next and next. And then next week, I'm going to test a new opener script that I will be shocked if it is not the new sort of default catch-all. I'll say a catch-all for off market. They're not a for sale by owner. They're not an expired, they're not, they haven't already raised their hand that they're selling. I think, it'll be the new control scripting. And the only reason I'm not telling you all to do it, like, I'll tell you privately if you want, but I don't want to. I want to get data first, and then I want to get data and examples and in real life conversations that I can demonstrate this warrants being our new control opening scripting or template.
I actually like that you're adding it all into one, because all the other documents that you've had and shared and printed out,
Yeah,
you got to search through all the screenshots.
Another example of this here.
Thing?
Another example of this. Like, why do I have all these? I don't know, because that's the way I've always done it. Well, that's stupid. It's like that old analogy where, like, I don't know. I've heard the story of, you're sitting down for Easter dinner or whatever dinner, and the ham is cut into 2 pieces. And the daughter asks the mom, like, why do we cut the ham in 2 pieces to cook it? And she's like, I don't know. Mom always did that. And they go to mom, grandma, daughter, mom, grandma. You ask grandma, why did you always cut the ham into 2 different pieces? And she's like, I don't know. Let me ask great grandma. And they ask great grandma, and she says, I didn't have a pan big enough. I didn't have one pan big enough, or like the stove wasn't big enough, right? So like sometimes we just do stuff because we do stuff. And then I was like, why would I not have a complete scripting process for this specific use case, end to end, for that, instead of like, oh, use this doc and then go over to this one. Like, that's just silliness. So this will be, unfortunately for Stuart, he's going to have to keep, he's going to have to keep printing it. But it'll be significantly better Monday morning than it is right now, because I will put more examples, context, specifically, for example, this, how to deliver it by text, how to deliver it by email, how to deliver it over the phone, how to deliver it in a voicemail. And then what to do next. They didn't reply. What do I do? Well, the next day, treat it like a document you're sending that is for a settlement. Like, this thing needs to be open and read, and I need to know, confirm, please confirm. Have you received this? Yes or no? I don't care. Just let me know.
I liken this to, when I was flying helicopters in the Army, there's a checklist. You pull it up and you do this. You get this light on the dash. It's like, that's not good. What do? You pull out the checklist and do this.
Yep.
Gosh, I wish I probably should have reached out to you over the weekend, because I ran into a problem with Loom. They had the record button locked for me. So I could not record a Loom video like you had provided me with the videos, right?
Well, maybe I would have figured out my error of my ways sooner if you had.
I know, I had to pivot and send an email because
sometimes obstacles like that create the opportunities, right? So me thinking through, Stuart texted me last night, and Steph, my follow-up call with Stephanie, I'm like, why am I doing this? This is silly. Like, what? Like, I'm making it about me. This is how I do it, and it's worked for me. But like, let's figure out a way that anyone and everyone can do it and have success, and create a repeatable, predictable result. So I'm going to be slightly late, but I'll text him. It's fine. The one last thing I promised that I would cover is expectations, right? So here's what, if you reach out to 100, and I'm gonna use absentee owners because that was our listening sprint. You reach out to 100, and by reach out, I mean you're doing everything you can to contact all 100. So you use every means possible for all 100. Direct mail is, I'll say that's optional because there's a delay to that as well. But you reach out to 100, bare minimum, you should have 10 replies. More than likely, it's going to be 20 to 30. And by replies or responses, they're not all going to be positive. Okay. I'm just saying people that will actually reply or respond to you. Bare minimum, conservative 10. What I see more often than not is 20 to 30%. So 20 to 30 out of 100, bare minimum 10. Of those 10, let's take the bare minimum 10. 5 of them, bare minimum, are going to be something other than, no, don't ever contact me again, right? Yes, maybe, potentially, what's the offer? Here's my number. Those were like the 5 common ones. Sending what I send now, and then making sure that we keep trying to move down the timeline. At least one of those should turn into a closed transaction. As you get better skilled, and as you have more time with those leads, those engaged leads, that number should go up to maybe 2 or 3 out of 100, but whatever. Stephanie had 44. She's had 6. And I mentioned it to her yesterday, and I said it to her again last night. Stephanie, a win is one of these. We just need one of these to turn into a transaction and you being compensated for it. If you get more, wonderful. Cherry on top, gravy on the whatever. Let's do everything possible to make sure one. And quite honestly, the vacant Airbnb one, that was the one that we were talking about. Like, to me, I think that's going to be a slam dunk for her. Like, I think that one is the most likely one. And also, there may be one or two others in there. Okay. So I share that just so you have some sort of lens of I'm doing the work. Is it that I'm doing something wrong, or that do I have improper expectations of what I should be getting from that? Because let me also say that 100, to get through 100, I would anticipate that to be 4 blocks of 60 to 75 minutes. So if you have 100, four time blocks, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 9 to 10:15, I'm reaching out to 25. And what most often happens is halfway through day 3, you have so many responses that you need to invest more time with the fire that you have started, yesterday's analogy, the fire that you have started, versus putting more spark, trying to spark more to get the fire started. Craig's just going to have to wait. He's canceled on me twice. So, because I want to see, this is where I have no idea what this looks like, but I took my analogy that I was trying. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's pretty good. AI is incredible, because I felt like that analogy was not well articulated, and I took the transcript of that, and AI spit out something that looks pretty good. I think that's a pretty good explanation of what I was trying to analogize. I don't know if that's the right word yesterday. Okay, I do have to go. The replay of this, all of that will be up later, noon. I will be back noon for, I'm doing a live, we've been doing these Friday live demos. And one thing I haven't done a good job of is showing on the phone the use of it. And I'm realizing even people that are signed up and trying to use it, they don't even realize that piece of it. So I'm going to do a better job of mirroring on my phone for that. And that's open to any and everyone. That's just an open, people who are lead deck curious, people that are using it, but just still trying to figure it all out, whatever the case may be. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend. Thank you.